Okay, so regarding tech stage. Regarding the tech stage, there are 7 tech stages. 7. Yeah, I can count. And to reach, I'm going to be able to show that on my own character. To reach a new tech stage, you first have to gather 1,000 points. I'm going to show you. So let's go to my Kingdom Finance screen. Over here, you have the research points, and you need to pay a lot of money to gain those research points. As you can see, I am investing, let me just check where's that number. Oh, in the expenditure section, I'm investing 500,000 florins each week to gain as much research points as possible. 500,000 florins provides me with, let me just go and check, Court Steward. He's in charge of your technological advancements. With 500,000, I receive 250 points per week. And that would make, in 4 weeks, I go to a new tech stage. Now, what does each tech stage provide you with? And that's what I'm going to be saying right now. So, tech stage 1 is the default. All factions start at tech stage 1. You don't receive anything for it. But at tech stage 2, all of your soldiers receive +4 Iron Flesh and +1 Power Strike. All of your soldiers receive, again, +4 Iron Flesh and +1 Power Strike. That increases their survivability by a lot and gives you quite a bit of advantage from the rest of the factions. Practically adding 8 extra HP, and they're going to be hitting a little bit harder. Also, from a finance perspective, you're going to be receiving a 5% increase into all income from your kingdom. Not from your own personal enterprises, but from your kingdom. So a 5% increase. Right now we are receiving 821,000 florins weekly from the kingdom budget. Yeah, and we're going to be reaching our new wealth of 2 million. We're going to be talking about that later. Okay, tech stage 3, you're going to be unlocking a new troop tier, the 16th century troops that we've just talked about. You're also going to be receiving new buildings that you can build in the town management screen. In the construction section, you'll receive new buildings that you can construct. Okay, and you'll also receive another 5% income increase. At tech stage 4, all of your lords and vassals will receive 25 more men in their armies, so their upper army limit increases by 25. Also, you're going to receive another 5% income increase. At tech stage 5, all soldiers receive +1 to agility and +1 to power strike. Also a 5% income bonus. Now another power spike at tech stage 6. You receive the 17th century troop tier, the strongest gunpowder units in the game, plus new buildings in your town management screen, and another 5% income, big shocker. And at last tech stage, at tech stage 7, all of your soldiers receive +1 to agility, and another whopping +4 Iron Flesh, and another 5% income increase. And those are the tech stages. Usually your power spikes are tech stage 2, tech stage 3, and tech stage 6. Those are your power spikes. You could argue that tech stage 7 with an extra 4 Iron Flesh is another power spike, but I haven't confirmed if your soldiers go beyond Iron Flesh 10 on their character sheet. I haven't confirmed that, sadly. Okay, so that is it for tech stage. Hopefully I haven't forgotten anything. Pretty much. No, actually a 35%, Chris. 35% because it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Oh, 30%. Sorry, my badsies, because at tech stage 1 you don't receive anything. So it's a 30% increase to moolah. Okay, there you go. So those are tech stages. Sexy as fuck, isn't it? Sexy as fuck. Next up, we are gonna be discussing about the Crusade mechanics, just to get them out of the way. So, there is this constant ongoing story. There's a constant fight over the ownership of Hierosolima between Christian factions and Muslim factions. And by Muslim factions, I'm simply referring to the Sarranids. Okay, so each time Hierosolima gets captured, let's say currently it's in control of a Christian faction, the Sarranids will periodically organize a jihad, a holy war, to take Hierosolima. If you are of the Muslim religion, you can participate in this holy war by visiting the Jihad camp that's going to spawn somewhere around the desert. You go there, and then you're going to be able to participate and march on Hierosolima and fight. Go and take that city if you wish to be on the Muslim side. Now, if Hierosolima is on the Muslim side, the Papal State will organize and declare crusades to take Hierosolima for Christianity. A Crusader camp will spawn, and you will go there and participate in the conquering of Hierosolima if you are a Christian. If you are of the Tenegrism religion or the Nordic religion or atheist, you won't be able to participate. Or, of course, if you're Muslim, you won't be able to participate, but you can participate in the defense of Hierosolima if you are of Muslim religion. Keep that in mind. So that's pretty much it for the Crusaders. If you want Crusader gear or Jihad gear, in the taverns you'll be able to find vendors, Crusader vendor who simply has Crusader armor, or Jihad vendors who simply have Sarranid, Sultanate, and Jihad armor if you wish to roleplay in that regards. Okay, and that is pretty much it for Crusaders. Another thing that I need to mention about the Aegonic Order is if you go in Drakenberg and take a stroll through their city, there's going to be an event where you get to save the leader, you get to defend the leader of the Aegonic Order from some bandits. If you save him, you're going to receive the ability to light the Aegonic Beacon. So what does this do? This costs you some renown. Chris, do you know the exact amounts of renown that's going to cost you? Because I kind of forget. If you lit one of the beacons, all of them will be lit automatically. You practically give the signal and all of them will be lit. And you're going to be summoning 10 soldiers for a small fire. And it's going to cost you 50 renown. Thanks, Chris. Or you're going to be summoning 50 soldiers for a big fire. But that's going to cost you 150 renown. These soldiers will follow you around, defend you, and participate in battle. These are practically a small mercenary party will spawn and help you out for 1 week. After 1 week, they despawn or they go away or they disappear. So use them wisely. Use them wisely. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the Crusader mechanics. Now, let's talk about morale and party size. A hodgepodge of Aegonic Order troops, Erignir. Hodgepodge. A mix. Randomly a mix. So, let's talk about morale and party size. A thing that you need to be aware of is that besides needing food in your inventory for your party, you also need to give them something to drink. This is very important. If they don't have anything to drink, the game will consider that you are not providing them with food. So morale will drop, soldiers will start deserting, and you will also receive the the opposite of the excellent leader perk. You'll receive the bad leader perk, which is going to increase the amount of food that your men are eating. So keep that in mind. Also, try to provide as much variety food for your soldiers as possible from level 1, because it will also determine healthy It will also determine Great Commander and, of course, Excellent Leader perks that you're going to be receiving, and it will help out with the morale of your men. Besides that, keep them fighting, so don't go between yes, Bats of Flyer, that's the trait. Thank you, Chris. Don't go between fights too long, so don't just run around the land without defeating some mountain bandits, because that really contributes to their morale and makes them stand on their toes. And then for party size, sadly, in my playthrough, I received the party size bug after the new patch to Mountain Blade kicked in. So not too long ago, there was a patch to Mountain Blade, and that kind of bugged up most of my playthroughs. And that's why I have such a small army size, even though I'm the queen or the king of my faction. I was supposed to have 250, maybe up to 300, but because of this bug, I think the game is not taking into consideration certain values, and sadly there's not a party size screen that I can check out. But even so, with just a small army, so when I started my faction, I started with 100 troops. Even with such a small army, I was able to take Zendar and then keep on conquering with just 100 troops, and I reached 145 soldiers just on renown alone. That's how I increased my army size, and I can still go through and conquer the world with this amount of troops if you have the right composition, of course. The saving grace that I had were the crossbow units. Crossbow units from the Rodok faction have simply been carrying me through the entire game, even though I have the party size bug. So if you notice that your army is just too small, even after you've created your faction, I recommended you restart, or if you feel ballsy, continue playing this way. Okay, besides that, another recommendation that I'm gonna tell you regarding the morale is do not, or try to avoid, utilizing enemy soldiers, because for example, if I would start utilizing Kingdom of Swadia troops right now, I would receive minus 49 to their morale, and they would most likely start to desert. They will most likely start to go away. And since I was fighting the Rodoks before the Swadians, I still receive a -1 to morale to my boys. I know, Chris. Oh no, I've confirmed with Erignator and with Drunken Slav, I am supposed to have a larger army size. Just because I'm a faction king. Or queen, in this case. So yeah, keep that in mind regarding morale and party, and also the food. Okay, let's see. Now, let's switch it up to damage types and best weapons. Like in all Mountain Blade mods and Mountain Blade games, we have the 3 types of damage. We have cutting, we have piercing, and we have blunt damage. Now, I'm going to go to Zendar, and we're also going to talk about guns in this section a little bit. Okay, so still in the early game, the best weapons that I recommend that you get is a Balance Cannon Ramrod. Okay, the best weapons that you can get is a good mace that you're going to be able to find in certain territories, or invade your territories. You'll be able to find hammers. Just for the sake of getting prisoners, as many prisoners as possible, so you can release them for prestige, or just grabbing prisoners and selling them for a profit. We're going to be talking about prestige a little bit later. So in this game, I still stand by the opinion that piercing weapons and blunt weapons are the best weapons in the game, and I still stand by the fact that the Heavy Morningstar is the best weapon in the game because it has 40 piercing damage, and it scales very well against armored units. And as you go towards the late game of the game, you will be facing a lot of armored units. So Heavy Morningstar is still for the win. Once you feel like you have enough money, let me just explain. once you feel like you have enough money, so budget-wise, I'm making 58k a week that are going in my personal inventory. You will no longer need the blunt weapon, and you can go for the piercing weapon. Okay, Chris. Then yes, I guess I should mention that take the increase in army size with a grain of salt. But again, I'm not supposed to have such a small army, so there must be a bug in place. There's a faction, there's a number or a fraction that's not taken into consideration when it's calculating my party size. So I hope this bug is not common to everyone. But in case it happens to you, try to restart a new playthrough. Okay. So, we were discussing about, yes. Yeah, it might be renown. But even though, as I've increased my renown, my army size went up to 145. But it's okay. I'll let the boys explore that one. And I'm sure that you're going to have a bigger army size than my own. Definitely. Maybe it's not taking into consideration leadership or something. Who knows? Who knows? Back to damage types. Sadly, I'm still in the opinion that swords and cutting damage is really not on par, really not that good. But in the early game, from level 1, you can get your hands on a very, very strong sword at the ruins of Uxkhal. And we're also going to go there with the Y character, and I'm going to show you the exact location of a strong early game weapon. So we're going to go directly to the ruins of Uxkhal and get that weapon just to show you the stats to you guys. It is King Harlaus of Swadia, King Harlaus II's sword that was lost in battle with him. It's actually very, very easy to find, and it's a good starting weapon. The only problem with it is that you can only, if you're on foot and you have a shield, you can only thrust with it. If you're on a horse, you can swing it. It's a longsword that can be utilized as a one-hander or a two-hander. Hello, MF Wizard. And you'll rat out your YouTube and get early game figured out. Okay. Have no idea what you just said, but we'll come back to the end. So let's go to the ruins of Uxkhal, and over here, visit the ruins. It's going to give you a little bit of history about what happened here. And then there's actually a little poem that tells you the location of the sword, but I'm just going to show it to you directly. And there's really nothing else to say about weapons. There's nothing in the game that really stands out. For crossbows, the siege crossbow is very good. For bows and arrows, Vajir and the Turgan Horde have some amazing bows and arrows that you can give it a shot. Swords, I think the King Harlaus sword is very good, but only if you're mounted. And I still recommend that you go for the Morning Star. The heavy Morning Star with 40 piercing damage will be able to kill anything that you're facing. So you just go near the monument to King Harlaus. Over here. It's pretty as fuck, isn't it? Look at that. Look at that wind animation. Nice. And oh my god, what is this? Oh no, such a secret and lost artifact that nobody could find. Yeah. When I started playing Nova Aetas, I found the sword on my first try. Just by following. And this is the sword. Sword of Harlaus II. It has 37 cutting damage, 32 piercing damage. It's a two-handed, one-handed. Weapon reach is pretty good. Speed rating is pretty good. For early game, this is an amazing weapon that you can utilize, and it only has strength 3. Oh, Gabi, it's alright. I haven't said about a perfect weapon. I just gave them all of the categories. What's the best crossbow, the siege crossbow? What's the best sword? And also, another thing that I need to mention, so that's the sword, that's the King Harlaus sword. Another thing that I need to mention is, in the early game, if you meet the firearms vendor in a tavern, if you get lucky and meet the firearms vendor in a tavern, buy yourself a pistol. Do not buy yourself a carabine or a rifle, because you won't be able to use them on horseback. If you're a horseback character, buy yourself a pistol. Reload speed is pretty good on them. I'm practically this is because of the amount of firearms that I have, 276. I'm utilizing this as a semi-automatic. So if you're mounted, definitely go for a pistol. If you're on foot, I would also recommend that you go for a pistol if you want to go on the firearms route. But if you want to roleplay, you can also go for an arquebus or for a rifle type gun. But the speed rating will hurt you. Guns are slower to reload than crossbows, but the benefit of guns over crossbows is that you can reload them while moving. So you don't have to stand still like in other games. You can move around while reloading. So that's awesome. Deathly Grim, I've kind of already explained that, but I'm going to touch upon the religion topic once we get to the kingdom management topic, okay? Okay, so I think that's it on damage types and best weapons. I've kind of mentioned all of them. Then lances, the one that does most piercing damage, and the longest lance, if you want to go for lancer build, that's your weapon. The longest lance is your baby.